really is about just getting them to change their mindset about what if this change could be good for you? What could it look like if it was good? What if this is the change that unlocks whatever you've been stuck with? Because you don't know. You don't know. And if we embrace it with positivity, we're going to be so much more successful in the change, because guess what? The change is coming. It's coming whether we want it to or not. So you can dig your heels in as much as you want to, but friend, you're going to be left in the dust.
Welcome to Direct Selling Shift, an exclusive podcast by DSN. I'm your host, Blake Mallon, and this is where direct selling high performers and experts share their most powerful shifts in mindset, skill set, and strategy to help you accelerate your business and amplify your impact. I challenge you to be present, open your mind, and let the shift begin. Welcome back to another episode of Direct Selling Shift. Today we have the privilege of hosting an absolutely extraordinary guest, a remarkable 32-year journey in the direct selling industry. That is an amazing story. Can't wait to hear. She embarked on this path at age 18, spent 19 years in the field contributing to two very distinguished companies, and 13 years as a corporate executive in both multi-million and multi-billion dollar enterprises. A lot of accolades. She held a role as the president of North America in a billion-dollar producing market. She's been voted Utah's top 30 women to watch, earned a Silver Stevie Award for lifetime achievement in the industry, and recently has built a brand new business starting from scratch, generating over 50,000 customers and business builders in less than 2 years. That is a remarkable pace. I think you'll find in our conversation today, she brings a very unique blend of strategic thinking and visionary leadership, and her experience in both the corporate and field side is going to make for a very enlightening conversation. And I think you'll feel she has an absolutely unwavering love for this profession and how it helps individuals step into the absolute best version of themselves. Her personal goal: to build a team monthly volume over $10 million while nurturing top producing leaders who become lifelong best friends. Please help me welcome to the show, Sarah B. Sarah, how are you doing today?
Hey, Blake, I'm so awesome. And thank you so much for having me on today. It's a huge honor. I love this podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know you were in conversation with Wayne Moorhead, a mutual friend, someone we both respect, and he reached out. He's like, you have to have Sarah B on the show. Her story is inspiring. So thank you for taking time away from your team and family today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll pay Wayne later for sure.
I love it. Well, I mean, first off, 32 years?
32. It's hard to believe 32 years. I can't even believe it. I know we all say so much that time goes by so fast, but it seems like just yesterday I was starting my very first business. And now today I'm in my second, business in the field. I'm thinking, where did 32 years go? There's no way I'm 50 years old. No way.
I mean, I love that. I thought I've been around a while, 32 years, and I love the perspective you've gathered. And maybe just for a couple of highlights of your story, because I'm intrigued. You were kind of belly to belly, kind of old school for, a long, I think it was 16 years. And then this kind of stint in corporate at the highest levels and now back in the field. Maybe just take us to a moment when you were first getting started, maybe a highlight, from your corporate experience, and then what brought you back now recently in the field. We'd love to hear some of those moments of your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think for anybody listening or watching today, you might be thinking to yourself, there's no way in a million years I could ever do what she has done or what other leaders who have been interviewed have done. But I want to give you some hope, because when I started my business, I only started because I had really low self-esteem. And my cheerleading coach from high school called me and said, hey, I've started this business. I would love for you to evaluate the business and let me know what you think. And of course, I said, yes, I'll do it. And I listened to her and I thought to myself, you know what? It feels so good to be chosen, because I was the kid in high school who was never chosen for anything. I was the one when they picked all the sports teams, I was the last person chosen. So it felt good for her to call me and say, hey, I really want you on my team. Not realizing she probably had said it to a few other people. But what happened in that process was I went to my very first sales meeting, and our, the upline that was there doing the meeting said, "Hey, can you come to the front of the room and introduce yourself?" And I was so shy that I could not go up in front of the room. She had to come grab me by my shoulders. I was shaking like a leaf, and I barely got my first name out. And I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to be successful here. But the thing that happened is that I changed in the process. I'm the person that changed. It wasn't about at that moment. It wasn't about changing everyone else's life. It was about changing the direction of my life. And so I will be forever grateful for those first 16 years in building a business, because I became who I am in that process. And all of the success I had in corporate is because of what I learned in the field. Mm-hmm. So speeding up through corporate, I would just say, what a ride. I had no idea what I was doing when I moved into the corporate sector, except being able to teach leaders what I knew to do in the field. And so those were my first few roles before I got into something more strategic, like managing product lines and sales teams and marketing and all of the things. But what I found that I loved the most was the strategy around the boardroom table, coming up with programs that would support the business builders in the field. And so I loved that part, and I was so dang passionate about it. But something called the pandemic happened, and I was in the heat of my career at $1.4 billion in the market. It was crazy. We were rocking and rolling. And when the pandemic hit, the stress level rose. Mm-hmm. And not to go into too much of my personal story, but I will tell you that during that time, my daughter developed severe OCD. My son tried to take his own life. And I developed an ovarian cyst that was 44 pounds. And I contribute that all to so much stress.
Wait. Back up. 44 pounds? I didn't even know that was physically possible.
And honestly, I would have never thought it was possible. Long story short, yes, I knew what it was, and I could not get in to see a doctor during the pandemic. And so it grew like crazy. All good, no cancer. It was a victory. It was such a good thing, but it made me reset and go, look, my family's falling apart because I'm working so much, and I have an opportunity to go maybe do something different. So my husband and I decided we're going to take a year off. It's going to be a little tight, but we're going to take a year off and just see what else is out there. So at the age of 48, kind of midlife crisis, I decided I was just going to walk away from everything that I had learned and built, and I had no idea what I was going to do next. But I knew that I needed some help. And so this other company fell in my lap, and I never thought I would build another business, not in a million years. But somehow on my first day, I started just talking to a few friends, as you do, with some best recommendations. And 24 new enrollments later, at the end of the day, I was like, oh, shoot, now I have a team and I have to do something with these people. What am I going to do? And that's where it all started from there. And now I'm 2 years in. So it's been an incredible journey.
Well, I know I appreciate you sharing. I can't wait to learn from some of your experience on that journey. I have to ask before we move forward, how's your son doing?
So good. He's so good. My daughter's so good. Life is so good. Something about being home. There's something about being around your kids a little bit more. And you always think when they're babies, they need you the most, but it's really when they're teenagers. That's what I found out. And so life is so good, and I'm so grateful.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing and opening up right out of the gates, and obviously sending love to your family. And I love hearing that everybody is in a better place. And it is interesting, you hear people's journeys and their stories, and there's always this kind of reoccurring thread that we get thrown into just dire situations, sometimes dark situations, tough situations, unexpected situations that when you're in the middle can be just absolutely horrible to deal with. But I love when those stories end up creating a better on the other side and a shift on the other side. So thank you for sharing, and congratulations for making the evolution into where you're at right now. And you are glowing. We can feel your energy. You can see the smile.
Oh, thank you.
Let me ask you this, because 32 years is a long time. Was there ever a single moment where you're like, this is it? This channel, this industry, this profession, this is my life, this is my career. Was that ever a conscious decision, or has it just continued to evolve and here we are? I'm curious.
Yeah, there is. I always believe that life is made up by a series of defining moments, and you can choose to go right or left. And if you take the wrong path, something majorly not good can happen, or vice versa. And I'll tell you, the defining moment for me was in my first belly-to-belly company. And we had the opportunity to earn a career card in that company. And so the very first time somebody that I personally enrolled earned their first career card, and I got to go to her celebration, and I stood outside and literally just wept like a baby, thinking, what is wrong with me? But I thought to myself, I didn't have kids yet, but this is what it must feel like for a parent to see their child graduate, or lose their first tooth, or have a girlfriend for the first time, whatever that looks like, or a boyfriend. And so I just thought, this is what network marketing is all about. It's about helping someone else. It's not about being focused on yourself and your goals. It literally is, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it really is helping other people achieve their goals, and you are blessed beyond measure after that.
We train a lot in this industry, right? That you can kind of re-enroll yourself anytime you want, or you can restart mentally anytime you want, or, it's time to go on a new run or draw a line in the sand like that. Those are common conversations we have, right, as leaders in the space. But you literally did it. Like, you literally had a second beginning, and you had a second beginning after all this experience in the field and in corporate. So I'm curious, what were you telling yourself at the second starting line, right? As you were beginning brand new brand, new company, but with the benefit of all this experience behind you, what were you telling yourself at that starting line that was maybe different than Sarah at the first starting line?
Yeah, that is a great and loaded question. That's a good one, because the beginning, right, the very beginning, first time around, like I said, I was shaking like a leaf. I didn't know who I was. I barely could balance a checkbook. That's when you were still balancing checkbooks, right? Without the digital functions of the world. I didn't know anything. I was such a young kid, and graduated in a class of 23 kids, small town. And so coming into the second round and all the experience, I would say that for me, what I was saying to myself is, this time around, I'm enough. I don't have to be somebody else. I don't have to act a certain way. I don't have to dress a certain way. I don't have to talk a certain way. My team doesn't have to look the same as everybody else's. I just have to be authentically me, because showing up in this day and age in social media and in front of our people, authenticity is probably the single most important thing we can do. So I still have those conversations, by the way, on a daily basis, to remind myself that I'm enough, because I grew up with such low self-esteem, not based on my parents or a lack of, I don't know what it was. Something intrinsically in me just never thought I was enough. So I had to just say, I'm okay doing what I do. I don't have to copycat anybody else. And that has given me enough fire to say, I can do this. I can totally do this. If so-and-so can do this, I for sure can do this, and it's not hard. The reality is, we just have to do the work. And most of us would rather do things that are creative avoidance than do the actual work, right? And I find myself, just as much as everybody else, loving to design graphics versus talk to people. But that is the real deal.
I love that. I want to go deeper there. And for all of our listeners, here's what I want you to hear. You can reinvent yourself where you are. And this is something that we have these conversations, Sarah, all the time with the kind of leaders in this channel. I think one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs is to realize they can reinvent themselves where they are. They can grow where they're planted. But it does take like a mental shift or a mental decision to say, I'm going to create a new beginning or create a new starting line. And you're saying, what I'm hearing, that if someone's looking to kind of go to a new level, create a new beginning, go on a new run, the advice you gave yourself was to realize you were enough, right? To show up authentically. Maybe unpack that a little bit. What do you think got you there? Was it a experience thing? Was it a, season in life, kind of where you are in life? Was it going through, certain struggles? What got you to a place where you could genuinely show up as yourself, right, for this new run?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I've had several experiences, both in the field and at corporate, where I was maybe made to feel like I wasn't enough, if that makes sense, that I needed to do something different, perform something different, be somebody different on stage. And for a long time, like I said, that story just continued to play in my mind. And I thought, you know what, I've got to do what I'm teaching everybody else to do, which is I've got to take care of the 6 inches between my ears. if I don't take care of this, my mindset, my energy isn't going to be the same when I'm on stage. I'm not going to attract people when I'm, doing whatever I'm doing. And so I made some conscious decisions to do things like write in a gratitude journal. Listen, I had it sitting here. I was going to show you. I have a gratitude journal that I write in every single day. And it gives you just a different aura, right? I listen to 2 podcasts a day, 365 days a year. I never
miss a day. Never miss a day.
Not even on a holiday. I don't, not even if I'm in the car, because who's going to feed me? I'm responsible for this right between my ears, right? And so I just knew this time around it had to be different. So that, I would say, the gratitude, the podcast, filling my own cup, but then it was surrounding myself with the right people. And my first go around, I got sucked into a lot of people that were the whiners and complainers, right? And the company was wrong and they were not doing anything right and blah, 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 blaming everybody. Still love some of them. Some of them are still my really good friends. But on the same side, this time around, I made a conscious choice to find the people that were moving and shaking. And those are the people that I decided I wanted to hang with. So yeah, I think those are some of the key things that were different.
And what I love about what you just said is that's really simple and really practical, right? It's something everybody listening could decide right now to apply. When you say gratitude journal, are you physically writing like with a pen and a journal, or are you typing? Is it on your phone or a digital journal? What does your gratitude journal look like?
Well, because I'm 50, it's, pen to paper. So I have a day planner or, a date book of some kind that I write in every day. And so I literally have this little column where I write 4 things that I'm grateful for every day. It's a one-liner, so short, but it allows me a moment to just be grateful for what I have versus always wanting something more, because we tend to do that in this industry. We're such drivers. We're like, oh, that's not enough. I need this. And I just need to slow down and smell the roses a little.
So 4 things that you're grateful for. Are you doing that morning, evening, or just depends on the day?
Every morning when I sit down in my office chair, first thing I do is a list of gratitude.
So first thing in the day, kicking off the morning, what you're grateful for. I love that. And then 2 podcasts a day. Is that also wrapped into a morning routine, or you fit it in depending on the schedule? What does that look like?
Almost always in the morning. I usually do it when I'm, getting ready in the morning or what have you. So if I miss one, then I listen to it on the way to the gym. So I just try to get them in. It's just a habit I've gotten in. And I know when I get out of it, negative feelings tend to creep in pretty easy, or complaining or allowing yourself to slip into a spot that doesn't produce great energy. And so I'm like, look, I just got to stay consistent in that. And it fills my cup, which is great. It's why I listen to you. I listen to Wayne. I listen to tons of podcasts. It's great.
I bet most listeners who are taking the time to plug into this show, they're achievers, they're performers, right? Or they aspire to be. And I'm sure most of us have heard some variation of like your environment matters, right? Your circle matters. But I'm curious for you, either for yourself or guidance you give to your community, your team. How do you get the drive within you to cut the ties or reduce the ties that are draining you? Because we all have those relationships that we know maybe are taking our energy, not giving our energy. Maybe they're relationships that are not supporting our new path, but maybe we haven't found it within us to like say the right thing or do the right thing to actually get that out of our space. What guidance would you give to the listener that knows they have a couple of those people that shouldn't be in their circle, but they're still there?
Yeah. You know what? First, take inventory. Take inventory of the people that are encouragers or the people that are maybe always second guessing everything you say. And just make a mental note. It doesn't mean you have to X them out of your life forever. Of course not. Some of them are going to be your parents or a sister, or you can't get rid of them, right? They're your family. Sometimes it's your best friend. But I do make a conscious choice what I share with that group. So if those people are not people who support my path, then I'm not sharing anything about my business. They can hear about it on the news. They can hear about it on a podcast. They can see it in a magazine is how I look at it, right? But I'm going to show up and support them the most that I can. I'm going to spend my time about my business with the people who are the encouragers. And it just has to be a conscious choice, because otherwise your 5 people are likely going to be people who are going to rain on your parade. And it's going to take you down with them. You become like them.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And by the time this conversation goes live, we're going to already be in the new year, right? The year calendar would have turned. We're We're in 2024, and I hope wherever you are at in your launch of the new year, listening right now, it's off to an amazing start. But like the things you're saying right now, Sarah, be like, this is stuff that would make an awesome year. Like you could commit to gratitude journal every day, to listening to growth every day, to shifting your environment consciously every day. Maybe let's go deeper down that direction in the spirit of kind of launching a brand new year. I know it's cliche, but like it's a good thing. Like the calendar turns. It's a great time to give ourselves a reset. I know you're really big on vision, right? On casting vision, on helping people create a vision, and I think it's fitting as we're launching a brand new year. What guidance can you give on how you create a compelling vision, first for yourself, and then for others within your team?
Yeah. So I will like to take at least a day somewhere in the next 2 weeks to do a new vision board. So you might think I'm crazy. When I was younger, I was like, there's no way that stuff works. There's no way that stuff works. Well, friends, I'm just going to say this. Go do some research on billionaires. Guess what they do? They write down their goals. And they look at them and they visualize them and they think about what success looks like when it happens. So when you show up in success, it's like you already did it so many times, it isn't anything new, right? There's no nerves, there's no nothing. You show up in the spot that you've been thinking about forever. So for me, it's to sit down over the next couple of weeks and really think about, what do I want quarterly for the year or at the end of the year, and then back it down to quarters. I'm kind of a freak that way. I love strategy. So for me, I like to build a vision, but then back into it with strategy. And so I like to look at, okay, for me, it's going to be either an income goal, it's going to be a people development goal, it's going to be a volume goal, it's going to be, what does my family get to do? My biggest dream last year was that I wanted to be able to afford to take my family on 4 vacations. We went on 6. We went on 6. It's like, what? How does this?
What was your favorite?
Well, Disney World. We're Disney fans. So we do Disney with our kids. We got married at Disney, it's the way it goes. So my kids
I love Disney. I'm a Walt fan. I love that. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I was just curious. I want to know. Keep going.
No worries. Yeah. So I will sit down and do then a vision board. So I'll start. The littlest thing, you guys, inside my planner, it's a 5x7, and there's 2 pages for a vision board. So I'm not hanging up an ugly tag board in my office because I'm picky about my house. So I know those of you out there watching this that go, I have a beautiful office. I don't want to mess up the walls. I get it. So I put mine in my planner and I open it every day before I do my gratitude. First thing I look at is my vision board. And it's easy stuff. I cut it out of the computer. I don't like my own handwriting, so I don't make it tough. I make it easy. I cut out a couple of things, slap it in the book, and shut it. But those things, I've learned 20 some years ago, somebody said to me once, 80% of what you look at and visualize comes to fruition. And I thought, there's no way that's true. My first goal poster, I should have grabbed it and shown it to the watchers today, because that first goal poster, about 85% of it came true in the first 12 months. So I double dog dare you all to really make a vision board, because you may not really believe in it. I didn't either, but I do them all the time because I feel like that is something you need to set that kind of groundwork for yourself. But then it's rolling that vision over into your team. That's the next piece, right? Is being able to communicate that. And so I really feel like you've got to get them all in a space. We're doing a New Year kickoff. I'm sure every leader out there is doing a New Year kickoff to get their team started. And now that we're in the new year, when this goes live, hopefully you've done something like that. And it's communicating your vision in a way where, what if this changes everything? That was one of the companies that I work for. That was their tagline. And I still to this day love it. Like, what if this decision changes everything for you? So what could life look like if you had another $500, another $1,000 a month, another $5,000 a month? I need them to start dreaming. Like, what does life look like? And you have to get them in a space where they'll write it down. Write down what life looks like if you had enough money to do what you wanted to do. That's when they can start to dream, because most people have what I would call a girdle around their brain, right? It's laced up and tightened, and you got to let them unlock the girdle on their brain and really start to dream again. So it's having them do the same thing, right? Getting them going with the vision board at the beginning of the year, and then backing it down with strategy, and having the guts to get in the strategy with them so they know what it takes on a daily basis.
I love the framework that you're giving us right now. And I got to tell you the absolute truth, Sarah. So it was last night. This is a true story. Last night I was going to bed, and I and my wife, we have our vision board on the wall, right on the other side of the room. And it's magazines, it's clippings, right? We put it in a really, really nice frame, but it's just your vision board in a really, really nice frame. But last night I was going to bed. I was like, I want to redo our vision boards as a family for this year because it's probably been 3 years since we did that. So
Yeah.
you just double dog dared us, and for all of us, myself included, you can't turn down a double dog dare. So you inspired me. I'm gonna grab my son. He's 8, my daughter's 5, and we're gonna redo all of our vision boards for this year. So thank you for that.
I love it. It's such a good activity for a family too. That is such a really important part. If you can get your kids and your husband or your spouse involved, awesome idea.
I love the framework because you're talking about casting a vision, right? Making it visual. I love the fact she just gave us about what we stare at every day. I can hear you're big on strategy, so layering in the how, but you're also giving us habits, right? So it's like you're connecting this vision to a strategy to habits. Are there any other habits that you have found doing consistently lead to success in this space? Things that you have adopted, you've given us a few already, or things that you've seen others in your team adopt that have led to where they want to go at kind of the daily habit level? I'm curious.
Yeah, I would say two that to me are very, very specific. One is going to be a little fluffy. One is much more tactical. So the fluffy one I would say is self-care. So you may think, man, self-care. Yeah, I know. If you're a top leader and you're listening to this, you probably don't even know what self-care is right now because you're running 100 miles an hour, right? I've done that too. But in the moments, in fact, I was just having a conversation with our CEO yesterday, and I said, I have learned in the last 6 months boundaries. I have to give myself boundaries. So I will work from the second I get up till the second I go to bed, and I'll be like, family, what? Who are these people in my house? And it starts to wear on you over time, right? And so you're just not as fresh, you're not as ready, you're not as on it, not as on fire when you don't have those boundaries. So I love to have the boundaries, and within those boundaries, allow myself things like that I never did until 6 months ago, working out every day at the gym, taking time to go shopping if that's what I want to do, read a book and not feel guilty because I'm sitting on the couch. You have to allow yourself those things because then you're fresh and you're ready. So I would say that. And then the second thing is something that I did not do first time around, belly to belly, and I wished I would have listened to my uplines at that point, is to do a daily power hour. I told you I was really good at creative avoidance, and I knew that was going to be the devil for me this time around because I love to create systems and design graphics, and I'm good at it. It's a skill set for me, but it'll suck up my whole day. And so one of the things I've had to be really specific about is every day for 1 hour, I've got to do some kind of reach outs, follow-ups, reach outs, connecting, leaving voice clips for my team, breathing belief into them, painting the picture of what it's like when they reach their goals, those types of things. It just has to. So 5 days a week, a power hour every day.
So good and so simple. Easy. What was it that made the shift in your brain to be able to allow yourself the time and the grace for self-care, for working out, for taking care of your energy? What happened? What was the belief shift? What changed to allow that right today to be something that's now on your habit list? I'm curious.
Yeah, it was a conversation when I found out that what was going on with me was an ovarian cyst, and I was still working corporately in my last role, and I just thought I was getting fat. I just thought it was middle age, and this is what happens to you when hormones kind of arise. And when I sat down with her and she told me what was going on in my body, and this cyst was growing by about 1 pound to 2 pounds a week. So you can imagine, wow. It was the size of 4 babies. That'll give you an idea. So huge. And she said, she goes, can I have a straight, honest conversation with you? And I'm like, of course, you're my doctor. And she said, it's because of the way you live. It's because you don't slow down. You are running in fight or flight 24/7. And I'm like, well, I'm high strung. I get out of bed and I'm high strung. She said, you have got to find a way to slow down, meditate, breathe, do yoga. I laughed at her face when she said yoga. First, I couldn't bend over, but second, yoga, I have to slow down. I have to not think for a minute. And she goes, this is what I need you to focus on, because the stress that's happened to you in these big, big jobs that you're responsible for so much over the last couple of years, your body couldn't handle it. And so in that minute, I thought to myself, something has to change, or it's going to change me. And it's going to change me in the way of being in the ground and not standing upright. So I had to do something. So it was something that was serious enough to sort of shake me. And now I feel so much happier, so much more cognitively aware of all things going around, because I think I take the time for myself a little bit and have some friends and have fun with my family, get to work out. And guess what? I still get to do my power hour and I have plenty of time to get my work done. So if you're concerned out there that you don't have time for self-care, you do. You do. You just have to schedule it in.
You know, it's so important. Thank you for sharing that, because it is a reoccurring pattern with achievers, right? We go, chase more, put everybody else ahead of ourselves. And we tell ourselves that we're doing this for others, but over and over and over again, that just leads to the same place. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to burnout. It leads to people showing up, right? Not at their level 10. So thank you for sharing that. For all the listeners out there, it is important, right? Don't wait until life gives you a forced wake-up call to make sure you're putting yourself first, not just for you, but so you can show up as your best self for your team, for your family, for your community. So I love that one. And then obviously the power hour, super important to make sure we're staying active and reaching out. I want to talk shifts, because your journey is super unique in that you've kind of had these 3 seasons, right? You kind of got started in the old school, had a tremendous experience and success. You had the vantage point at corporate, and now fast forward, you're back in action, absolutely crushing it. What shifts are you seeing? Are you feeling today, right? In the now? How is building today different, right, than the first run? Would love for you to elaborate.
Yeah, of course. So many shifts, so many shifts. So, first go around, as you all know, we did not have the internet, friends. So I did my first team newsletter on a typewriter, if that gives you any hope, and with clip art. That's so crazy. I feel like I'm Noah's sister. I am that old, right? I'm just old. But the reality is, today I was nervous to build a business. This is the reason why I didn't really want to build again, because I'm thinking, I know social media. I was on Facebook and I was on Instagram, but a lot of that following needed to go away with the parting of my last role. And so I had to start accounts over. I didn't have big followings. And I thought, there's no way, I don't have enough influence. But we forget that we have influence. It may not be online, but you have influence in your communities, your churches, your wherever you show up, your pickleball court, your gym, wherever you are, you have some influence. And so the reason why I was able to enroll so many people on my first day was all the relationships over time. I don't burn bridges. I do not believe in burning bridges. I love to keep relationships going because, I don't know, people are important, right? What we breathe into people is important. And so I just had a lot of people that came out of the woodwork over 30 years saying, hey, I want to do what you're doing. I want an extra $500 or whatever that looks like for them. So I would say, so some of the biggest shifts now are moving from, doing everything in person to literally 100% online. I think most companies are probably in that boat right now, where most of us are doing almost entirely 100% of our business from a phone or through Zoom meetings, of course. But I mean, most of the posting you're doing on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the things are all from your phone. And it takes some strategy. It takes some thought process. So I've had to learn new skill sets that I never thought that I would have to learn. I spend a lot of time training myself, watching YouTube videos on how to do something. I didn't know how to do a story. I didn't know how to do Facebook Live, if that gives you any hope 2 years ago. I didn't know how to do any of that. And now I'm teaching myself TikTok. I'm still not doing much for TikTok, but I'm doing a lot from stories and posts and things like that. There's that. So there's that shift, right? And then the other piece of that is our mindset as a leader, a top leader right now, has got to shift. We have to shift because the industry is shifting faster than most people. And figuring out that we're going to have to be okay with change, especially if you've been in the industry a long time, we've got to be okay with change and get ahead of it rather than being behind the boat. So I would say those are some of the biggest ones for me.
You just gave us so much there. So I want to know, it was amazing. It was good. I'm taking notes. I'm writing fast. And I think you're 100% spot on in everything you just gave us. So to rewind real quick. So skill set.
Yep.
You talked about the shift. You called it social selling, right? Where we live in now, just this social media connected world. Different leaders, different organizations have different approaches, but I think everybody would agree that is an advantage today to reach out, connect, right? Bigger and greater and faster and broader than ever before in the history of, the world.
Yeah.
And it's allowing us to accelerate, right? The pace we're able to grow. But you had to learn this. You had to learn the skills, right? You
still learning.
Still learning, right? It's a daily process. What would be like maybe the top 3 skills out of all the videos you've watched, all the diligence you've done, all the learning you're doing? What are like 3 skills that you think are things that all of us in the channel, every consultant, distributor, promoter listening right now, whether they're brand new or they're leading a team, 3 skills you think are absolutely important building today?
Yeah, so I would say the first one's going to go back to kind of what we talked about before, but is understanding that you have something to offer. First, you are an influencer. So just understand that regardless of your audience size, you already are an influencer or an affiliate. Okay. Number 2, you have to decide who your market is. Who is your niche market? And you can find that by looking on your professional dashboard on any of your social media sites, and it will tell you who watches your stuff. What are the age ranges? What time of day do they log on to your information? You can see a lot by just doing that. And then 3 would be designing a bio that's in your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok that matches who your ideal client is. And you've got to get so niche specific. I mean, people hate the word niche kind of in this day and age, right? But figure out what it is your audience wants you to talk about. You may feel passionate about talking about playground equipment, but your audience might be wanting you to talk about a supplement or I don't know what, make it up, right? So you have to just figure out what that audience is. So I kind of combined my passion with my bio with my passion, and then also the people that I serve. So I'm looking at, gosh, I'm passionate about reverse aging and health and wellness and making money in network marketing. So how do I put all that together into a bio that makes a difference to people or makes them stop and look at it? So I would say those are like the first 3 things, but then you've got to learn algorithms and posting strategy. And it's just stuff, but it's, people say to me every day, well, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, friend, here's the thing. That's the job. The job is, if I go to an 8 to 5 every day, I got to show up and take out the garbage and do the stuff I don't want to do and attend the meetings I don't want to attend, but I still have to do it because it's what I get paid for. Here today, guess what, friends? It's the job. It's what you have to show up and do in order to be successful. So, and on top of all of that, you're also building person to person sideline to that, right? You're still having conversations in person. I'm still talking to friends out in the community, but the big piece, social selling, you got to learn the skill sets, right?
I love it. I'm smiling because it is. And I look at it, Sarah, it's not something we have to do. It's something we get to do today. Because I'm like you, I'm smiling because I literally remember when I got started as a distributor in my first company and I ran out of my address book because we had an address book,
of course,
right? We had to go to public areas and strike up conversations with strangers. Fact, so many weekends I did that in order to expand our conversations. So for everybody out there, I know we're old. I know, way back then, but like we get to use these tools today to give us unprecedented reach. And it is a skill, like you said, that anybody can learn with a little bit of initiative. Leading your community right now, which I know is growing gangbusters, what guidance are you giving to the people that maybe their first feeling is a resistance to the pace of evolution we're in, the pace of shift we're in? What guidance are you giving to help people, maybe embrace, right, the change that is happening right now?
Yeah, I think it's really the conversation for all of our leaders is we have to be open to change, right? But it goes back to the statement that I said before. What if this could change everything? What if this is the change that unlocks whatever you've been stuck with? Because you don't know. You don't know. And if we embrace it with positivity, we're going to be so much more successful in the change. Because guess what? The change is coming. It's coming whether we want it to or not. So you can dig your heels in as much as you want to, but friend, you're going to be left in the dust. So it really is about just getting on board with it and thinking about getting them to change their mindset about what if this change could be good for you? What could it look like if it was good? So I think it's really just having that conversation and painting a picture about looking at it from a different perspective.
I think that's so smart, kind of a positive intent, right? Or the optimistic lens. And it does change the way that we receive information. And it is truth. Like in order for things to get better, they got to be different. So I love that. You said you're fascinated and you're really passionate about systems.
Yes.
Tools, systems, kind of same question I asked on skills, but relevant to like systems today. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing right now, or what are you implementing personally within your team right now at a tool level or a system level that you're finding different or effective today versus maybe in the past?
Yeah, good question. So in the past, right, nothing was online. So we'll start there, right? So everything was paper. Whether that was getting somebody onboarded and you had to give them a new consultant or a new distributor manual or training packet or something. I mean, that was my life before, right? So my postage bill was ridiculous. I was sending out stuff all the time and paper newsletters, right? And so today everything is obviously digital, but more importantly, it is automated. So you've got both digital and automation happening at the same time. Digital, we can all probably handle. Most of us are on Instagram, Facebook. We have Facebook groups. You might be using other platforms to house your tools, right? So you have all of those things, but then there's another level of automation. So I would start with saying, yes, I have a Facebook page. I have a team page. I do all of that good stuff. We're putting all kinds of stuff on there, training and live videos and recognition. I mean, anything that they need is there, right? But I'm finding this is a new challenge for us today, that a lot of the influencers that are coming in, they don't have Facebook. They have Instagram. And so Instagram doesn't have groups. And so that's a whole new thing that we're all trying to unlock right now. In fact, I'm in a mastermind with several top leaders in different companies, and we're all talking about the same thing, like what's the next big thing? Because all these new people have no connection or community if they can't be in a group somewhere, and we're not seeing them in person like we used to either. So it's a new challenge, but we're wiggling through it, right? Most of us are using platforms to house all of our tools where they stay really organized. So I do have that in place, and I update it every day. Like if there's a new tool coming in or a tweak that needs to be done, it's done in the morning. It's typically there for them before they get out of bed. But then the automation piece that ties to that is, how do you automate, say, onboarding? If you've got new customers coming in, which we're all focused on customers and selling product, but then also if you have a new business builder starting their business, how do you automate that process so you're not having to be in sending them text messages every day? Because you can do it when you have 10 enrollments, but you can't do it when you have 10,000, or you can't do it when you have 1,000, right? So you have to be thinking, could I 100 times this, not 10x, but 100 times this? And can I still do it if I'm going to 10x or 100x this process? So that's kind of where I've been, is trying to look at what does it look like when my team doubles by the summer? Because it could very well happen, right? And for everybody listening, that's what could happen. So it's just the systems needed there. Yeah. And then email marketing is the next level, right? So you've got your regular, just digital. You've got automation, and then you have email marketing on top of that. That's a whole nother level. If you don't have that skill set, you can hire it or you can learn it. Either way, right? But it has to happen at some point.
And I think a nuance within what you're saying is you are building all of these systems as a leader, entrepreneur in the field.
Yes.
You rewind the clock. I remember it's very common. Everybody would just wait around for HQ or for corporate to roll out whatever the system was and follow suit. And if they didn't, then the field didn't. And today, because of the low barrier of entry and advancements in technology and just elevation of ambition in the field, we're seeing what you're saying, right? Yeah. Leaders are creating systems, right? Creating their own automation, using the tools. And let's be honest, an individual ambitious entrepreneur like yourself is always going to accelerate faster and maneuver quicker, right, than any large corporation. So I love that. Are there any tools or apps or platforms or technologies that you're just kind of maybe new things that you're just finding interesting right now or playing with?
Well, if I'm okay to shout out the actual companies, I use Boards. That's our sole place to house all tools are in Boards.
Boards, which is a mobile app, right? That anybody can download. It's a mobile app,
and you can use it on your desktop as well. But we house everything there. It's easy, and what's great about that platform, this is a single reason why we all use it, because when you open it and you put a script, you want to put a script in something, it drops right in your keyboard. It drops right into the actual chat. And so it's super easy. They don't have to recreate anything. So we love that. Of course, Linktree, right? Facebook, you've got all that, your Facebook groups, but those are the big ones. And then anybody who has a website, you're probably using the back end of your website for email automation. So that's another one, Project Broadcast, or there's several for texting platforms. So I do all my automation through a text platform to send out. So I send the link from Boards in my text, and that's what they get. So
thank you for sharing. I think those are all great tools that I think a lot of communities are leveraging. And if you're listening right now, and let's say you're brand new to this industry and you're listening to Sarah B, you got to remember, she's operating at the highest level. She's leading communities of people. So if you just got started last week, don't feel like you got to be an absolute ninja at all these things tomorrow. You're going to grow into this. But I'm also willing to bet if you reach up to your leadership, your upline support, you're going to find somebody up there that is thinking this way and implementing these things. So if you don't have a community, platforms, a system, steps, call up, right? Until you find somebody that is putting together these things that we're talking about, or become the person, right? And I think if you're listening, it's because you have that desire to step in, and Sarah B is giving us, some very simple, practical steps. I'm curious, Sarah, so field, corporate, field.
Yeah.
Is there any message you want to give to the community of consultants, promoters, affiliate around the world on behalf of all of the corporate HQ companies? Now that you've been on that side of the wall and you're coming back on this side of the wall, maybe some empathy or some grace or some perspective, right, that you can bring. Is there any message you're now very aware of or delivering, right, to the promoter communities around the world with that corporate lens?
Yeah, that's a great one. There is some good thoughts around that. So I would just say to everybody listening, if you're in the field and you get frustrated with the corporate office in any way, right? It could be a small communication, a shipping blip. It could be maybe you didn't find out about something soon enough. And I would just say, have grace, just exactly what Blake said, have some grace, because behind the scenes, there are a bazillion things happening and processes in place. Things do not happen as fast as you think they do. So it might be like, hey, can we just get an email out about that? But what you don't know is that email is going through 4 different departments, legal approval, getting programmed into an automation system. Then, by the way, when your email goes out, it takes hours and hours and hours to send to thousands of people. And we out here don't understand that, right? And so I would just say, have grace, know that they are doing things as fast as they can do them, and they have your best interest at heart, because they're in network marketing, because we're in network marketing, the same. We're all passionate about changing lives. And they love it as much as we do. So they want us to be successful, and we want them to be successful.
I had a feeling you'd feel similar. And it's the truth. It's one team, right? Regardless of what company or brand or product or service you're passionate about bringing to the world right now, it's one team, right? It's not us and they, it's not corporate and field. And in every community, it is one team on a similar mission. People play different roles. People have different seats on the bus, and you need all of that to make it happen. So thank you for sharing that on behalf of all brands and companies. And it is something we all need to remember on both sides of the fence. Sarah B, I want to leave some time for any kind of closing thoughts. We've covered so much ground, but before we go there, if you're willing, I'd love to do just kind of like a rapid fire. Can I ask you just 3 really quick questions? Okay. So you got the context of the show, right? And Shift, it's more than just about the landscape of the channel. I've kind of been obsessed with the concept that like a mind shift, a perspective shift at the right time can change everything. It can change the trajectory of someone's life. So I'm curious for you, in like one sentence, first thing that comes to your heart, what was the largest mind shift, perspective shift, belief shift in your professional life, right? You went from telling yourself this to this that has led you to where you are today.
I would say, the day that I made a decision to say that I'm enough, that is the biggest shift. That is, I would not be where I am right now had I not chosen to believe in myself enough to move forward. Because prior to that, yes, I had success, but it wasn't anything like it is today. So that decision, it was a defining moment. I can almost tell you right where I was sitting. It's just a defining moment in my career. So make a decision, because you're the only one that has the control in that. That's the biggest thing. You're the only one who has control. No one else can make that decision for you.
I am enough. Beautiful. So same question, but let's just put business aside for a second, right? The team aside for the second. Same question, most significant shift in your personal life.
Taking my health into my own hands. So 18 years ago, we chose to go toxin free in our family, and it saved my kids when they were little, and it saved my kids again when they were older. So really just making a shift in our health and the way that we live at home.
Beautiful. And the last one is kind of just a fun visionary. You'll like this one. Yeah. It's a visionary kind of aspirational question, because I sit back and think about just the power of our channel. You know, the WFDSA last stat I read, we have something crazy, like almost 115 million people participating as distributors, promoters, affiliates, consultants, all the names we call ourselves, generating like 170 plus billion dollars in sales. Like it's a giant community. So my question, like, what if you had the power to kind of like snap your fingers right here, right now? Maybe this conversation goes viral. It gets shared all over the world and it gets to everybody's ears. And you could give every single one of those consultants, distributors, and every company, every brand one shift right now. What would you give them?
I would say that a rising tide lifts all ships, and you are not in competition with each other. You're in competition with retail, with the stores out there. So if we all just looked at each other, like instead of being competition, we could actually reach over regardless of company or cross line or whatever and help each other, our industry would grow so much faster, and so would our incomes.
Beautiful. I love that. A rising tide raises all ships. And we're on that mission to raise the tide through conversations like this across the channel. You know, Sarah B, we've covered so much. I love this conversation. Unique perspective, right? Vision, things we can apply to our own life, great ways to launch a year, simple skills we can work on, systems we can work on, a feeling. This has been amazing. Any closing thoughts before we kind of round out? Anything else on your heart? Anything else you're super passionate about or you feel is really relevant for where we're at as a channel right now that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say for those of you who are just getting a business started, first, congratulations on listening to a podcast. I want to just start there because it's the information you put into your brain is what you're going to get out of your business, right? What you put in is what you get out. So great job on listening to a podcast. Take the first steps and do a power hour every day. Stay into some consistent activity. Learn the social selling skills that you need. Just know that none of us knew those. We all had to teach them to ourselves. So choose to learn them, right? For those of you who are leaders, I just want to say that our number one job is to paint the picture and help other people see themselves in it. That is it. That is our job, is to paint the picture, show people vision about where they can go and what it looks like when they show up in that vision. You're going to change so many lives in the next year or 2 or 3 that it's going to be ridiculous. And this industry is going to grow and evolve and become into something so amazing. We're all going to be continually so proud to be part of it. So I just want to say hats off to all of you because the whole industry makes us better. It's a good place to be.
I love it. Beautiful message, amazing energy. And this conversation was absolutely fire. I don't care where you are in your journey, if you're just getting started or you're someone that's leading, thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. I know there was something in this conversation that can make you better. So please help us get the word out. Let us know we're only taking time away from our lives to add value and contribute. So please drop by the show. You know where we're at. You can listen to us all the places, Apple, Spotify, watch us on YouTube, but take the time to leave a rating, leave a review. We will read all of those. And a shift really is a gift. And I promise there was a moment in what Sarah gave us in today's conversation that can help every direct selling entrepreneur go to the next level. And you have the ability to give that gift by sharing the link, referring the show, and helping us raise the tide across the entire industry through inspiring conversations like this. If you guys have topics on your mind or your heart you want for future episodes or nominations, hey, directsellingshift.com. And I hope 2024 is already off to a rocking start. I hope you're thinking big. I hope you take everything Sarah B just gave us and use it to vision cast and map out the best year ever. And thank you for continuing to show up to the show and promote these conversations as we all bring amazing journeys and perspective like we got from Sarah today to the world to help our channel reach even more people and make an even bigger impact. Sarah B, thank you. You are a light. We appreciate your time and energy. And thank you for everything you're doing for your community and our channel and your time today.
Thank you so much. It's been great.